Welcome back to DXB Today, where the show tonight is about success strategies and career growth. We've had a wonderful time so far with Dr. Sheen giving us some wonderful insights, and now our next guest is very excited to be here because she is wonderful. She was actually recognized as a Rising Star of the Year by Arab Women Awards. Please welcome a high-performance strategist and the founder of Breaking Cinderella, Rola Diab.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
It's an honor to have you here, and you're a very busy person. We know that, so looking forward to this conversation.
Likewise.
Yes, we have two wonderful females here. This is
Yes.
great. So tell us a bit more about Breaking Cinderella, how it came together. When was that aha moment when you're just like, right, okay, I've had enough of this same carbon copy thought process that people think of me, so now's the time.
So I grew up in Riyadh, and back then, very different from today, we often heard, well, he's a boy, he can do that. You're a girl, you can't do that. And when I went off to the US and started my career, I was working and trying really hard, and I was successful, but in the moments where there were challenges, where I was really challenged, I had wasn't completely in the back of my head. It came to the forefront. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody else came and took care of all of this, that Cinderella syndrome that not only women have, but men actually have too, I've discovered.
Yeah.
So I realized I needed to break that thinking, and that's kind of how it developed. And I've studied everything from behavioral science to neuroscience, and learning the strategies to become a high performer. It took effort and time to really change that thinking. And I would say as of even a few years ago, I still had it, and today I don't. But the idea behind Breaking Cinderella is to rather identify our power in receiving the job. If I get that job, I'm going to be powerful. If I marry that man, or for a man, marry that woman, if that person's by my side, if I get into that group, if I'm in that circle. And we're not saying that those things don't have value, because they absolutely do. The idea is to cultivate and create the internal power and then direct it to the job, to the person, to the experience. And that way it doesn't own you, and you can release attachment to it. It's just a bridge as you continue to grow, versus I need that to be powerful, right? You show up in a different way. And for me, it was very important to help women, because women, I know men are hard on themselves, but women are hard on themselves on a level that I think surpasses men. Even down to when we apply for jobs. When a man applies for a job, he looks at it, 60%, he's like, I'm good, he applies. A woman finds one thing off, if we're not 100%, we don't apply. That's what the studies are showing. So that perfection syndrome is a big problem for us.
Rola, I love how you talked about women needs to get out of their own way.
Yes.
Because a lot of times it's all internal. But what would you say to women who always mention imposter syndrome as something that they struggle with?
I hear that so often. With imposter syndrome, they have an ideal. And because they're not fitting that ideal just yet, that means I'm not right for it. I'm pretending. But what they're forgetting, and we do this with corporate as well, because people have this impression that leadership means you have to have all the answers. I'm a leader, I should know everything. And that's literally never the case. The idea is to understand that, again, with perfection syndrome, I don't have to have all the answers. I don't have to be done, perfect, there, now. I'm in process of growth, and every single person in every single career is experiencing that. So it's really just reframing the understanding that you're never done, because that's another aspect to it. It's like, once I get there, I'm good. And it's kind of like brushing your teeth. You're never gonna stop, because if you do, you're gonna have problems, right? The same thing is with the way that we think that level of growth needs to be so consistent until the day we die. And what happens is people often will think, well, when am I done with it? So you're never done with it. This is for a life.
But other than, of course, our personal push, right, to move further up the ladder, we got to also consider the setting right now for women. I mean, I read somewhere like 1 in 18 CEOs in the world would be a woman. So you've got 17 men versus 1. And it's sad, because there are studies that show that if you put a woman on top in the workplace, diversity is definitely going to grow. So how could women thrive in a workplace that is dominated by men?
in the end, it's going to be how we speak up. I think the biggest challenge that we see with women is that they're afraid to speak up because they're, am I smart enough? And all the limiting beliefs that come up for them. So the idea is to, outside of that internal fear that, okay, I may not look like the most intelligent, I may not have all the answers, but to move forward anyway, to speak up in a room with men that feel overempowering. We just have to get over that internal fear and do it anyway. It's like the first time you got on a roller coaster. You were terrified, right? But you do it a couple times and you're safe, you're good to go. You do the same thing. When I would do any speech, when I first started speaking on stage, I was literally shaking. I would, even in a room of 100 people, I was terrified. And now I can do it in front of thousands and I'm fine because that muscle has been expanded. But I forced myself because intuitively I knew if I did this, it would advance my career. And that's what you have to do.
You need to teach me some tricks, man. I'm shaking now.
I have some tricks for you.
Cool, nice.
That is what confidence is, isn't it? It's not being scared. I think people think that they need to not be afraid, but it's actually just doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, because it's very easy to see on Instagram, like these are the traits of a high performer. They wake up early, they make their bed, all these fluff pieces to make people think I can do that. What have you seen that actually makes a high performer? Or what qualities are either intrinsic or can be learned that actually make people high performers?
Everything can become intrinsic based on the frame and understanding of certain methodologies. So one of the biggest, most, if you want the fastest way to change, you want to connect your mind-body consciousness. Typically we think, okay, I'm gonna go forward, my mind, I've just gotta think this way, I'm gonna move forward, and that works, right? You can strategize for a week, a month, a year, and get there, or even a day, whatever that time period is. Versus going from strategy to changing your mindset to changing your biology, which is what happens, we flip it. And unfortunately, this is not what we're taught in schools. We need to start with the biology, and breathing a certain way can activate the biology, moving the body and doing an affirmation, really engaging the body. We do that for a couple of minutes, and every high performance training program I have starts here. So once you shift the biochemistry in the body, everything else follows. Suddenly you have a greater sense of peace, a greater sense of confidence. You're strategizing in a way that I will show teams before and after. I'm like, okay, we're gonna strategize right now. Here's the formula that you're gonna do. You're gonna do it the same way we always do it. Sit down, work through it. Next, we're gonna incorporate the high performance body engagement. They do that, they have a completely different experience. And that's the fastest way to get there.
Okay, one question I do have for you is, now there's the rebranding of what being a feminine leader looks like, and we've started seeing a lot of, empathy helps at work, and being able to communicate better helps at work, and all of these were previously seen as soft skills that are not really needed in a leader. But in your experience, how can women tap more into their own feminine instincts in order to become better leaders?
Women are already naturally, in my opinion, great leaders. I think what gets in the way is that we're looking outside of ourselves and looking at the men and saying, I need to be more like that. But if women lead the natural way, the way that we naturally have empathy, the way we want to bring other people up. There's a study done on psychological safety where we found that psychological safety is the #1 predictor of high performance across every team. Google did one with 180 of their teams, and consistently psychological safety was it. So women can really create that environment by encouraging people to feel like they're safe. We encourage you to speak up, and more of a learning environment. Now, I would say it consistently comes back to the challenge of not feeling the confidence to speak up, feeling like that self-criticism. It's consistently what we see with women being the biggest challenge that we have. If we can just get over ourselves, out of our way, set intention that we're here to serve, and then we show up in a different way, and then the energy is not about me. Same thing when you're in public speaking. It's not about me. I'm here to serve, to
Exactly.
lead with an intention.
Yes.
What am I leaving them with? And if I have the energy on them, I'm less terrified, right? And you come from a different perspective, a different vantage point that creates an experience for everyone where everybody feels engaged and a heightened level of
That's exactly what I do when I host.
Yeah.
Events.
Oh.
Exactly that. And I use the analogy of we're all rowing a ship together, and it's just like someone's got to take the lead. at
Yes.
one point.
Yeah.
So now it's my time to take the lead.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we're all ownership together. So it's
Absolutely.
a group effort. So I use
It
that
always
so much.
is, yeah. Yeah.
Cool, man.
The less it's about I and it becomes more about we, everybody wins.
That's a really good tip. I'm going to keep that in mind. Less about I, more about we. Everybody wins.